Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner commentary, Ashton, and we invite you to recline back your chairs, ease all of your cares as we present to you our Friday night Smackdown review. And it's the go-home show before TLC this Sunday. We will be previewing TLC tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll be live reacting to TLC at Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And for a go-home show, I'll put it like this. The Universal title matchup at TLC, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, I think that is the match I am most hyped for on the card. And that's a pretty big compliment given that I've had nothing but nice things to say in my mind about McIntyre versus AJ Styles on the Raw side. But I think Owens and Roman have been killing it. I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. Women's Championship, I mean, relative to Asuka challenging for the tag titles, again, I will say it does have a bit more of my interest because I do prefer singles matches. In fact, I kind of wish Asuka was defending her title at the pay-per-view. So things on the SmackDown side are looking pretty good. The go-home show, there was one thing I really hated on this. There was quite a few things I liked, and again, Universal title I loved. So I think if I was to put a numerical value to that feeling, I'd give it maybe a 7 out of 10, 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I'm going to hand it over to my co-owner commentary, though. Ashton, how'd you feel about this go-home show tonight?
Well, I did put in my tweet that it was a roller coaster, and that's because there were 3 or 4 things on the show that I liked. And out of those 3 or 4 things, there were 2 things that I was really enthusiastically into, and everything else was just kind of meh, you know?
Yeah, I can feel you on that. I can feel you on that. You know what, man? We're talking about roller coasters and things we like, things we didn't like. Let's just start setting the table, which we'll have plenty to say about the head of the table tonight. But our first segment, heat of the night. And I'm just going to take the floor, if I may, partner.
Sure.
Because there was one thing that I just fucking hated. This whole Billie Kay angle. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to rehash why are they doing this when she was already in a great tag team with Peyton, because we've established that already.
Right.
I do want to come at this from a different angle, though, if I may. I don't like that Billie's being positioned as the incompetent one in her teams when she's a former women's tag team champion. Like, I just think that's such terrible writing when, like, the two people
I forget,
that she's teamed with...
Did Natalya and Lacey ever end up winning the tag titles or no?
No, they didn't.
Okay. So
no, they didn't.
This is now two weeks in a row where she has teamed with someone that's never held the tag titles before and lost, despite being someone who has held the tag titles before.
Right, like she really, to me, and that's why I wanted to come at this from a somewhat different angle. Like, I understand, I think they look at Billie as more of a comedy character.
Yeah.
And I look at her more as like somebody that's proficient in ring that can just also do comedy. I look at it almost as the inverse.
Right. So you think that they're treating her too much like Santino and not enough like, I don't know, like a fucking Kofi Kingston, for example.
A Kofi, if you wanted to use a women's parallel, like Layla or Michelle McCool, who I think had like decent in-ring ability, but could also be like funny, even if it was callously funny as heels. I just feel like Billie should be kind of leading the team and getting frustrated with them, and either it would lead to an Iconics reunion, which obviously is hard to come by because they're on different brands, or just somebody that like, wow, she's even better than Peyton. Like, obviously she wouldn't feel that way non-kayfabe, but, you know, in kayfabe, characters trying to get ahead. Right. I just don't like that she's looking like the dunce in the tag team, if you will. Right. And really, I feel bad for Peyton, too, because I even put in my notes, you know, she pinned fucking Bayley at Survivor Series, and she hasn't done anything. And I don't know who has it worse, honestly. So I don't want to stay on this too much because we've already kind of talked about this before, but it just really annoyed me. And I viscerally hated this. Just everything to do with this.
Do you know why I personally don't have that visceral reaction to it, though? I think because I still have almost like this blind faith that they're pulling a Jason Jordan in NXT with her and that they're really doing this so that they can find a tag team partner for her that would be like the perfect fit, and then they can win the tag titles again.
And that's fair. I think all I'm going to say to that is that's fair because I really don't have anything loaded up to like counter your counter, so to speak. I was really thinking that they would have Billie be a manager because, you know, she's handing out the resumes and everything. And I'm going to be honest, with how undercard women in this company get treated, that might not have been the worst fate for her. I'm just going to really put that out there. But we'll see if the tag team thing can work. I feel like I've taken up enough time, though. Do you have any nitpicks or heats tonight that you would like to air here in this segment?
No, I don't think I do. I think that everything on the show was at least acceptable. I think the tag match was probably the worst segment on the show. The tag title match, I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think I disliked anything more than I disliked that. And I would not call that heat of the night worthy. So I'm going to say no heats of the night for me.
All right. Very interesting about the tag match because I have my own sentiments to share, but I think I'll have you carry that since you've been more forthright about it. So let's get into our Friday night SmackDown review. And I love the energy of this opening. I'm just going to get right into it. Kevin Owens' music immediately hits.
Yep.
He calls Reigns out immediately. Roman doesn't respond. Kevin said last week he heard Roman's message to his family loud and clear, and he talked to his family and told them not to watch their TLC match this Sunday. He says it's not because he fears what Roman will do to him, because he doesn't want his family to see what he does to Roman. And Kevin says that Roman, you know, you talk about being the head of the table, how you want to set an example for your children. He says, Roman, your children know you're a hypocrite. He says every single time Roman looks in the mirror, he knows Owens is telling the truth, that Roman is a coward and not the head of the table. So, you know, Owens continues to run down Reigns. Heyman shows up on the Tron and says, look, Kevin, enough. You know, I made a mistake last week on Talking Smack saying that you're a masochist. You're not a masochist. You're a martyr. And you're a martyr because you're willing to pay any sacrifice to be Universal Champion, which means mutilation will not stop you. You need to be eradicated. And Owens is just tired of hearing this. And ultimately, he goes in pursuit of Reigns. I love the energy of this. Kevin has that quality where it's funny because when he says, like, I don't want my family to see what I'm going to do to you, it doesn't come off like a Cactus Jack type energy. Like, oh, God, this guy's crazy and he can carry it out. No, it's like he's either going to carry it out or he's going to die. Like that's really, like, Kevin is just, he's tunnel vision right now with Roman, I think is the best way to describe it. What did you think about this opening segment, man?
Dude, can we kind of talk about the rest of the segment, too, where Roman kind of dodges Owens? Because, like, Owens basically says, like, if you're not going to come find me, I'm going to come find you to Roman while Paul Heyman's still in the screen. And then he goes back to where he knows Roman's locker room is. You know, we've got, what's the guy? Adam Pearce.
Adam Pearce, yeah, he tried to stop Owens and told him to save it for Sunday.
Yeah, he was like, no, you don't want to do this. You've got you've got Roman on Sunday. You don't want to do this. And then he goes in, and he tries to open the door and the door's locked. And then fucking Roman's music hits and he comes out into the ring and he's talking shit to Kevin and he demands that Kevin acknowledge him as his tribal chief and acknowledge him as the head of his table. And he's being so disrespectful. And then Owens finally shows himself and he starts stomping down the ramp like he wants to beat Roman's ass. And he gets attacked from behind by Jey Uso. And we get a 2-on-1 beatdown. And this entire show, I feel like, there were individual segments where Owens would be walking or being helped to walk. And either Roman or Jey or both of them would jump him again. And I think that it was really Jey in the backstage area that was doing it. But, like, all I got, and I love this from this entire show, is that Roman Reigns fears Kevin Owens.
See, and I'm saving my overall thoughts for, like, the final segment, because, again, I'd even told you before we went live that I really had to, like, kind of ponder on this. I do love that that's your takeaway, though. I think I'll come up with something similar myself, but, yeah, like, I love this whole thread of running throughout the night. And the only reason I didn't jump to that, by the way, I did have it separated in my notes, but if you want to kind of mix it all together, I have no problem with that. I thought it was so well done. I mean, dude, when Roman talks, I love it because I think a lot of heels, and again, I think you and I were even talking about this over a game of Rocket League a few days ago, or if not, maybe it was like post TWitWoW kind of talk, with some residual points, where heels, can be smarmy or cocky, chicken shit, whatever. The thing with Roman is, I mean, just from an aesthetic standpoint, he looks great. I'm just talking about from the attractive standpoint, but like physically, he is imposing. He has an aura about him that he emanates. We've seen him beat people's asses, and, obviously it's convincing. So when he talks, it's not even like he's trying to make himself believe it, although I do agree with you about him being, afraid of Kevin Owens to a degree, definitely intimidated. But at the same time, it's not like he's overcompensating. There's just this natural swagger and honesty to how he talks. And I love it. And him saying, acknowledge me as the head of your table. Like, dude, like, and see, can I just say too, like, this is why I love when the writing is really able to go there and a good promo, because Roman has not cussed one time. He hasn't called KO like a son of a bitch or a piece of shit or any of that. And yet he's still able to hit this hard because his delivery is so good.
Yeah.
Like, there was not one swear word right in that whole line. And yet I felt it, dude. I'm like, damn. And I'm just, because you know what I'm imagining because of KO and him saying he talked to his family. Like, I'm imagining his wife and his son Owen. I know he has a little girl too, but I admittedly don't know her name. But I'm just imagining the whole family watching Roman say that. And it's just, it hits, man. It hits. The mic work on this.
Yeah.
Really, I know they were
I genuinely do think that this is the best Kevin Owens that we've ever seen in WWE and the best Roman Reigns that we've ever seen, period.
Oh my God, dude. I'll go one step further, because I 100% co-sign to what you said, and I would add, I don't care what kind of performance or what kind of promo clash you have going on at the Performance Center. You get all of your prospective talent to watch the promos leading up to this feud, because this is how you promote, this is how you get your own characters over, and this is how you get your opposition over, which makes money for everybody. Like, this is great. This is really Wrestling 101. This is, again, something that if we weren't outside the WWE bubble, we'd feel just absolutely fucking good, and we still do feel that way, because this is head and shoulders above, I think, everything going on in the company. And again, McIntyre AJ has not been bad by any means whatsoever.
I think my biggest problem with McIntyre AJ is that it's getting overshadowed by fucking Orton Wyatt.
Yeah, I would agree with that to a point. I would agree with that to a point for sure, especially now knowing that their match this Sunday is going to be a Firefly Inferno match, or like a Funhouse Inferno match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, this feud has been fantastic. And again, this running theme, which we'll revisit throughout the night.
Dude, I love, though, like, it's one of those things where we feel like WWE's writing is so incompetent most of the time that I have a hard time believing that they're even doing it on purpose, and that I almost feel like they're just kind of stumbling onto this fucking brilliant writing. But there's also a part of me that's like, we saw Kofi Mania. We know that they're capable of being fucking amazing when they really want to, and Roman might be the thing that inspires them to really want to, because this story is hitting on all cylinders for me. Because, dude, here's the thing. First of all, Roman refuses to even acknowledge Kevin Owens, so he's obviously trying to sort of invalidate Owens, right? He's trying to invalidate.
Yeah.
He has Heyman talk for him on the show, and I think Paul Heyman, we've also got to remember with Heyman, as ironic as it is, while Paul Heyman the person might be a habitual liar, I think that Paul Heyman the character makes a really strong habit of telling the truth. And he explicitly said on this show, Roman realizes that you're not going to be able to just kind of go away. He needs to eradicate you. And that is that was the first time that I was like, holy shit. So Roman's like worried about Kevin, because he knows that no matter how many times he puts him down, he's going to keep coming back. So he feels like he has to do something extreme to get rid of Kevin, because he doesn't want to be on the same show as Kevin. He doesn't want to be in the same fucking building as Kevin. He's scared of him. And then he literally dodged him. He literally, like, he fucking faked him out. Like, he was backstage. He saw that Owens was coming backstage. He might have ran. It might, it's fucking Roman. He probably walked like a boss, but he ran away when he knew that that Owens was coming. And then he goes out to the ring, and his words say, "Oh, I want you to acknowledge me." But his actions say, "I know you're pissed. I know you're going to want to fight me, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to have my brother waiting in the back just in case."
Yeah. I think you're 100% on point with that. In fact, I just kind of want to leave that where it is, because I think you summed it up perfectly. I will say this to kind of put a bow on it before we talk about other stuff. The next segment after the first beatdown of the night, because poor Kevin really got put through the fucking ringer here. Roman and Jay are backstage. Jay's amped up after the beatdown, and he says, Owens understands now. And to your point, Reigns shakes his head and he said, no, he doesn't. Reigns knows the kind of man Owens is, and he knows Owens is going to keep coming. He looks at Jey Uso and orders him to end Kevin Owens tonight. Take him out. So again, we've established our narrative theme. I even told you very early on in the show, because I called you a little after. I called you like 8:23, and I said that this angle, they were probably going to bookend SmackDown with it. They were going to open with it, and they were going to close with it. And that's exactly what happened.
And you nailed it.
Yeah. So after that, we get the SmackDown Tag Title matchup. You know what, dude? Since, again, you were more forthright with it, I do want you to go first, but I do have something else of my own that I would like to say about this, so you have the floor for however long you want it.
Yeah, dude, I should go first on things that I'm enthusiastically, into. I was the opposite of into this. I barely paid attention to this. I can't stand Ziggler and Rude as a tag team, and the Street Profits. You already know how I feel about them. I'm not into them either.
Then I guess if that's the case, I will take the floor, and I'll also be indulgent and read from my notes directly.
Awesome. I love it when you do this, honestly. And I'm not I know it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not. I actually genuinely do love it.
I said, the more I watch Street Profits compete, the more I eagerly hope that Ford will one day have a singles run, preferably with Bianca as a power couple. He has a great look, amazing athleticism, bumps his ass off, which would make any babyface he competes against look great. So I do imagine when he has the singles run, he would be a heel. And I have a feeling he'd be a much better heel promo, given that he wouldn't have to be so turned up in an effort to pander.
Yeah.
And I said what incited these musings was Rude pushing Ford off the turnbuckle early in the match, and he bumped into the barricade, and it looked devastating.
Dude. Just saying that inspired something inside of me. I want Montez Ford to turn on Angelo Dawkins and join the Hurt Business.
Dude, that'd be perfect for it. Can you imagine that fucking dude in a three-piece suit?
That's what I'm saying, though, because the reason that kind of what led me to that thinking is I want Montez Ford of 2020 to take notes from MVP when he debuted. And I was like, holy shit, he's still in the company. He could literally learn under his fucking wing.
Yeah, dude, totally. In fact, honestly, depending on what they do with Cedric, if they wanted to fill that void after Cedric, completes his arc, whatever that means, Ford could be right there waiting to step right into that spot. And again,
dude, I honestly, Montez Ford is such a fucking prospect. I could genuinely see MVP being willing to expend Bobby Lashley to get Ford in the Hurt Business.
And here's the thing, dude, what really clicked for me, and I know Javoris is freaking out, and I do want to address that in a second. I just feel like, dude, I really think the problem, and I wish somebody would talk to that, but maybe they just feel like that's what works, and maybe it is. I'd love to see stats on how they're doing on WWE Shop and stuff. But that aside, when you're a heel, the promo style is obviously going to change. Hell, Bayley's promo style, I think, changed drastically when she turned heel. He wouldn't have to be so amped up, dude. He could maybe even have kind of a quasi-Roman vibe where he's far more chill about shit, because look at what a fantastic fucking athlete I am.
Yeah.
I really do think, my big problem with Ford isn't even that much of an enduring problem. It really is just promo style. I don't think it has anything even to do with him personally. I love really everything that Montez Ford kind of represents and gives off, right? I think it's just the goddamn promo style where it's like a joke a minute, and you've got to hope that at least 75% of them land, and you got to keep the energy up. And me personally, I'm not into it. I only speak for one person, and that's myself. But I feel like as a heel, you slow it down. Maybe you talk more slowly. Maybe you talk at a normal pace. But you're not acting like you just shoveled 5 cookies in your mouth at once, and you're on a sugar rush, So when I saw him take that bump, I just had to write that in my notes, because I'm like, this dude is so good. And I don't want the Street Profits to be broken up tomorrow, but I do think WWE doesn't give a shit about tag team wrestling. It's a cul-de-sac in the company. I mean, let's just be honest about what it is. It's good for the Street Profits now, but do you know what the purpose, when we've talked about this before, but I think it bears repeating, the purpose of tag team wrestling in WWE, at least if you're not going to care about it, and this should be for any wrestling company, is to put people in a team now that you want to be either moderate or big successes in singles later. And you've got to be thinking of ways that you can do that while they're teaming together.
Yeah.
I don't think WWE is putting in that effort, which is a shame, because I just think internally the company is chaos, at least if what we read is true.
I'm not asking for it to happen now, but if they would break, or if they would put the Street Profits on the same show as the Hurt Business in the next draft, I would be really rooting for Ford to join the Hurt Business and turn on Dawkins.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. Because again, tag team wrestling in this company is a dead end. This isn't.
And even if you want to keep them together, I would love a heel turn. Like I just want them to chill the fuck out, and I think a heel turn is the way to do that. And if you have to break them up to do that, then that's fine. But if you feel like you can just tone it down, do that too. Like the problem I have with the Street Profits is that they're at about a 13, and I'd be willing to be cool with them and probably like them if they were at just an 11. But like realistically, bring it down to an 8, guys. It's okay.
Yeah, that's it. Because you know what, dude? Like, in a different way, I think you could almost copy paste my complaint about Everrise to the Street Profits. Like, being yelly and being a certain energy doesn't make what you're saying good, right? Like, it's what you're saying it's whether they're going to be good or not on the face of it. So I just really wanted to kind of have this digression about the Street Profits because, again, I do stand by tag team wrestling in this particular company. If you want Street Profits to be another Young Bucks, go elsewhere. Go to AEW. Go to New Japan. You're not going to get that in WWE. They are going to want to experiment with Montez Ford. And really, you shouldn't even take it as like me wanting it, even though I do. You should thinking about it more about WWE wants it because I'm convinced that they do. Or knowing WWE, it might even be the inverse, and they might want Dawkins as the heel because he is like a bigger dude. Either way, they're going to want to experiment with these guys, and I think we'd be foolish to think otherwise. That's just my 2 cents on that.
I think Dawkins is like that sort of mid-card for life type, like the Shelton Benjamin or like the fucking Carlito or like a Matt Hardy, like that type of guy. I think that he's like a really good hand who's never going to be able to carry a program on the mic because he's not all that charismatic from a promo standpoint. But he's really good in the ring. He takes great bumps. He sells well. His offense is convincing. Like, everything in the ring is really good. He's almost, you know what? Perfect comparison. He's another Cesaro.
There you go.
But Ford could be a fucking bigger deal than that. Ford could be a big deal. Ford has a lot of upside. And, like, Ford, and the thing is, I'm trying to come up with comparisons for Ford, and I don't think there is one. I don't think that we have ever had a fucking 6'4" athletic freak with that kind of charisma since The Rock, and I don't want to compare him to The Rock because he's not, like, that good. Like, he's really good at a lot of things, but he's not as good as The Rock when The Rock was that good. I don't know, though. Maybe he's as good as The Rock was when The Rock was at this point in his career. I don't fucking know, but, like, that's kind of the ceiling that I'm looking at for Ford is like, if this dude gets his shit together and gets booked right, he could be another Rock.
Yeah, I agree. So pivoting to the match itself, I'm just going to kind of run through that. I really didn't even necessarily hate this. It was all right. You know, the whole thing with Rudolph was, we're heels because we're cutting the ring in half and, you know, we're isolating Ford from Dawkins, who to show some love to Dawkins, because I don't want to seem like I'm just, you know, pushing him science, whatever. He has a wonderful hot tag in this tag team. I'm really grown to like Dawkins' hot tag, and he does ultimately get it. I will say, too, to Rudolph's credit, or really just to the match's credit overall, that they made it a prominent point to work over Ford's midsection, which it took a second to click for me about why that was, but then it became known like later in the match. So Dawkins is doing his hot tag. He hits his spine buster, which he calls the anointment, on Ziggler. Tags Ford. Ford gets the frog splash, but he can't cover right away because of the midsection. So that was smart heel tagging.
Yeah, and then Rude was able to drop the elbow to break the pin up.
Exactly. And then a little while after that, Rude kind of does a O'Connor roll, tries to grab the tights. Ford reverses it. He grabs a handful of tights. That's how Street Profits get the win. And kind of blue balled us here in the post match, at least I guess from what you would normally expect. Rudolph getting a heated exchange with Charles Robinson. Charles Robinson tells him explicitly, you know, get out of my face. If you do not get out of my face, you know what's going to happen? What? You're going to be suspended. And Ziggler, see, God damn it, Dolph, learn how to do things. Because, like, he puts his hands up and he backs away, right? But I feel like that's normally what you do before you super kick somebody.
Yes, I thought he was going to super kick Charles Robinson right in the face.
Yeah, and he didn't do that. And the segment just ended, which is kind of a shame because, you know, now they're just going to go with the basic legs of, but the babyface is cheated even though we tried cheating first and we deserve a rematch, where I thought it would have been far more interesting for Rudolph to get suspended and then for them to just cause havoc on the outside to get a rematch.
I mean, they could have literally just, like, gotten a rematch at Royal Rumble. You know, like, that would have been fine by me. I wouldn't have been looking forward to it, but I just need a fucking break from him. The thing is there really an amount of break from Rudolph that makes them acceptable when they come back? I think the answer is no, because they were gone for a long time and they just got back, and already I need a fucking break from them.
Yeah, the answer to that is no. And yeah, that's really all that you need to say about it. So I don't know if they're going to resolve this at TLC, if it's going to be a late edition or what. But
Low
we're not
key, the thing is, like, we were talking about who we would want to get rid of from each roster earlier, and you mentioned Ziggler and Rude, and I'm literally just sitting here thinking, like, no, I like Rude enough. I liked Rude when he was in the tag team with Gable. I think Rude is a decent hand. I think that he could be like a really good, upper mid carder with maybe even like a mid card title, just kind of running roughshod, like the fucking honky tonk man kind of run. I just can't handle Dolph Ziggler anymore. He has gotten to the point that he doesn't give a single shit about this, and he just shows up for the paycheck, and he's getting paid mightily handsomely. I'm pretty sure he's making 7 figures, and if it were me, I'd be doing the same thing, but that doesn't make him any more entertaining. If anything, it makes him a lot less entertaining.
And there you go. We go from that to KO backstage. You kind of touched on this earlier when we were talking about the first segment. Personnel are helping KO backstage. Jay blasts KO with a chair and tells Kevin to stay down. Kevin is seen pulling himself up, racked with pain, before we cut to commercial. We come back from this with Bianca getting interviewed. Kayla asks Bianca what beating Bayley, the self-proclaimed role model, would mean for her career. Bianca says, Kayla, you're really going to have Bayley and role model in the same sentence? Bianca says a role model is someone you aspire to be, and Bayley is someone Bianca is looking to beat. See the difference? Bianca says she's wanted to face Bayley for a long time, and she regards Bayley as the measuring stick. But the thing about Bayley is that she's always got something to say. And Bianca's name is always coming out of Bayley's mouth. And Bianca says she hopes it tastes good because tonight the EST is going to SHINE. So, and see.
This was cool. This was a good interview.
She's got good energy, man. I like her promo delivery. Again, much like a Ford, I feel like she emanates, or actually really more like a Roman, but obviously not on the same level. She emanates a certain aura that I vibe with. And yeah, I'm really excited for her future. Obviously, she faced Bayley tonight, but we'll get to that later.
I really want to hear Bianca get an opportunity to cut unscripted promos, because I feel like her promos feel very, very rehearsed, and I just want to know, like, what she sounds like just talking as herself. You know what I mean?
Right. So we get Riot Squad versus Billy Kay and Tamina. I already complained about the stuff, so I'm not going to repeat that. Riot Squad have a screen-to-screen promo where they're wondering who Billy Kay will pick as her partner. Guesses range from Sarah Jessica Parker to the real Wonder Woman, because, Ruby's like, yeah, Gal Gadot is kind of cool. And Liv's just like, no, not her. Wonder Woman, not the woman that plays her. And, they kind of power on about that.
Felt like... The weird thing is, I know that they are legitimately friends IRL, but this felt so fake.
A little bit. I think it started to take a dive a bit towards the end there, so I was glad it cut and we focused on the in-ring stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, outside of my complaints that I already aired in the first segment, I mean, Tamina dominated. She got a rare lariat on Ruby, which Ruby sold excellently.
As always, because she's a fucking amazing worker. She and Liv both are really good at selling and bumping. And yeah, like Ruby is like a complete package. Liv has, some learning to do in other aspects, but I think that her selling and bumping more than makes up for pretty much everything else that she has any kind of flaws in, which aren't, it's not like there's plenty of them, but there are enough.
Right. I mean, dude, what it comes down to for me is, and we both love Ruby so much. I know that. Yeah. I really just want her to get just one women's title reign, like in her career. Like, I'm talking singles, because like I don't expect her to be one of those people in the annals of WWE women's wrestling history. I don't expect her to be like like a Charlotte Flair or anything like that. I think that ship never even got out of port. But I do think at least one title reign. She's just so good. But yeah, just to kind of augment what I said in the first segment, another reason Billy looks so incompetent here. So Tamina's dominating, right? And what's crazy is Kay tags herself in, and dude, it couldn't have been more than 2 minutes later, Riot Squad win the match. Like, they immediately take control. They hit a drop kick, flatliner combo. I think it was Liv doing the drop kick, Ruby doing the flatliner.
Yep.
And they pin Billy, just like that. Just like that. So again, I already aired my complaints. I just wanted to point out that it was so quick the moment Billy tagged in. Riot Squad win. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
No, I don't want to add anything, but I do agree with you that it's unfortunate that Billy is the one eating all the pins in these tag matches. I will say, though, I have been enjoying this angle, if for no other reason, because we're getting to see both members of the Riot Squad and Billy Kay every week. Like, I hope that this stays going until the fucking Royal Rumble. If we keep getting all three of these women on the show every week, like, yeah, like, Billy can eat pins until she finds the perfect partner. We need to find her a Goldilocks partner. I don't know who the hell it's going to be. I hope it's not Lacey Evans. And then, yeah, like, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we shall see.
Actually, is Lacey on Raw now?
No, I think she is on SmackDown.
Wasn't she on Team Raw in Survivor Series?
No, she was Team SmackDown, I believe.
I thought she was teaming up with Peyton.
Or no. You know what? I think you're right about that. Why the hell? No, then you know what? She was talking to Peyton. That's why I got confused. She's never hung out with Billy. She has hung out with Peyton. So they might be doing a tag team of Lacey and Peyton together.
Yeah.
So that's
because I remember, because I think it was Dana Brooke and was it Mandy Rose that were supposed to be on the Raw Series team, and they got replaced by Lacey and Peyton, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. God, the draft really kind of fucked things up. And where the hell have those two women been on Raw?
Dude, I have no fucking idea. I mean, again, I put in my notes, you had Peyton eliminate Bayley fucking first at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And she's done nothing since then. It's a joke.
Wow.
It's a joke.
Anyway, I like I said, though, as long as we get to keep seeing the Riot Squad and Billy Kay every week, I don't mind as long as this runs, and I'm looking forward to see who they finally land on for her partner. I have been pitching Rhea Ripley to come up and win the tag titles with someone for the longest time. I almost feel like it's more likely that it'll be Asuka on Sunday than it is that it'll be Billy Kay. But the connection's there. They're both Aussies, okay?
Hey, man, whatever works. So we go from that to Carmella's champagne celebration. Oh. We recap the women's championship match last week and Carmella's post-match assault on Sasha. I'm going to be honest, I didn't hate the promo. I think my only critique was I think it started to circle the drain a bit, and I think it went on a little too long. I think you could have shaved a few minutes off and tightened it a bit.
You're talking about Carmella?
I think it would have been a lot better. Yeah, the promo by Carmella. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think there's also, like, here's my thing with this promo. Carmella's delivery is actually really good. Like, I really like this before, but her delivery, she seems really sincere in her delivery. Like, she really believes what she's saying, but there's also, like, God, this is entirely me getting worked, and I fully acknowledge that, but I just need to say something. She said that the wine or the champagne had more digits in the price than your phone number. And, like, even if we don't count area code, you're saying that this is a $10 million at least wine or champagne. You don't make that much money in a decade, Carmella. We're not stupid.
I wonder if it would have worked if she would have said, this bottle has more numbers than your Twitter follower account or something. Because WWE is friends with social media. You
know, it would have, even zip code would have worked. Because I could imagine fucking splurging on $100,000 wine when you make $500,000 a year. I can imagine that.
Can I just say, I do appreciate you guys backing me up for the most part that the promo went a bit too long because I was wondering if I was just being nitpicky. But, like, again, I didn't feel like the delivery was bad or even the content necessarily was bad. Although I think you do make a fair point about that burn that she tried to get about people being poor. We're all poor, Carmella. It's late stage capitalism.
I mean, that's why I said it's us getting worked, though, because her whole gimmick is that she's richer than everyone else and she thinks that makes her better than everyone else. But it's just weird when, like, we've seen the numbers. Women in WWE don't get paid as much as the men, which is a problem in and of itself. And you're not even one of the highest paid women in WWE. So, like, how much disbelief do you really expect us to suspend here, Carmella?
Yeah. You know what, too? Like, I like the look. I mean, I like the dress she was wearing, you know, as part of the character and everything, the entrance, everything.
Low-key, that dress was really nice in the way that, like, it looked classy and it wasn't, like, super-duper revealing by any means, but I just think she looked really good in it. Yeah, like the dress was on point for sure.
Yeah, I just only mention that because I think it does kind of show an understanding of this character and what she's about. I like the line that she said. And see, this is the payoff. If you're going to fuck over Sasha Banks this bad the way that you've done for years, you're at least going to try and get something out of it for her opposition when you start getting her right, for the most part. I still hope that she has a long run, and the second half of her title run is her being heel. Honestly, because like we already talked about babyface Sasha, so I won't get stuck in that. But Carmella
I will say she did have a great moment tonight, and I think this is my biggest problem with Sasha is that like she can be a great babyface, just keep a mic out of her hands because it's her babyface promos that are the problem. She's a great babyface otherwise, though. She's really good at selling. She has great babyface fire. Like she nails every aspect of being a babyface except for the promos, which are, at least for this run, to me, flat out bad. Not even just not up to snuff for her, just straight up, they've been bad to me. But this segment, when Carmella, finished talking, and maybe she went on for so long because she was waiting for a certain cue, and it just came later than she expected. That's a very possible thing. And said cue, then I would imagine would be Sasha's music hitting, which, that distracted both Carmella and her sommelier. Her sommelier ran up the fucking ramp trying to get ready to cut Sasha off to stop her from getting to Carmella. And then Sasha showed up in the ring, attacks Carmella. Actually the way she did it was cute because she grabbed the champagne off the table, took a sip, was like, oh, this is actually really good. After Carmella said that it tasted, what did she say it tasted like earlier?
It tasted cheap and something else like Sasha Banks. I forget the other thing she said about it.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so Sasha takes a sip and says, oh, this is really good, actually. And then she does the old Fez press on Carmella and beats her up. And, the sommelier tries to take her off and then eventually gets hit with the bank statement and everything. So yeah, like the physicality of this segment was really good. Carmella's promo delivery was on point here, even if it did go for longer than it should have. And again, could have just been a production issue where she was just told to go out there, get these points across, and talk until you hear Sasha's music. And it just took longer than she expected, so she got repetitive. And yeah, like I expected this segment to be a real cringe fest and absolutely horrible, and it definitely was better than that.
Yeah, I think my favorite line from Carmella here, and again, to circle back to a point I was going to make originally, that this is the longest that Sasha's been a women's champion, so she's in uncharted waters. And, like, she's frantic and she feels like she's going to drown. And that's why Carmella, like, she has her right where she wants her mentally. Because even commentary, they've really been playing up that when it comes to, like, mind games and the psychological aspect, Carmella has Sasha just absolutely apoplectic, to use the Morrow term. And, yeah, you kind of saw that again here. She was so focused on taking the frustration on the sommelier that Carmella hits her in the back again with another bottle. I'm actually surprised that their match hasn't been gimmicked yet, to be honest with you, like a champagne bottle on a pole match or some shit. But we may get to that depending on how TLC goes, which, again, we're fully previewing that card tomorrow at 10. So, yeah, I'm glad that we mostly agree on the segment. I think what you said about it verbatim, you and I, same energy, bro. So then we go from that to Kevin Owens in the trainer's room. Jay jumps KO again and ultimately puts him through a table. I even made a point in my notes to say first assault was with a chair, second was with a table, so I thought they were going to do something ladder-based to close the show, and kind of, but nah. But, yeah, jumped him in the trainer's room, put him through a medical table. After that, we get Otis with Chad Gable versus Nakamura with Cesaro. I just put in my notes here, an okay match that was relatively quick. Nakamura got some strikes, but Otis quickly turned the tide. At one point, he had Nakamura vulnerable for the Caterpillar, and Gable said, no, you got to suplex him. And when Otis goes to pick Nakamura up to do that, Nakamura gets him in a cradle for a near fall. Otis recovers and gets an exploder suplex and a Vader bomb for the win. And I will say this for an undercard angle, because like I think Michael Cole did a good job, because he even had a line here where it's like, oh, he won, but if he would have just, followed his instincts and done the Caterpillar, he could have won this match even sooner. But I like that Otis didn't lose here. Because I feel like we've already seen a story before where it's like, oh, hey, I'm really good and I'm really smart and you should follow my advice, and they're kind of like a snake oil salesman kind of thing.
Right.
But the idea that Otis is actually getting a win and Gable's almost like, not necessarily gaslighting him, because that's not exactly what he's doing here. But he's
I forget, who was it that said that he could have won earlier?
Michael Cole.
Of course. God damn it, Michael Cole. Fuck.
Did you not like that line, or?
Well, look, here's the thing. I think that line had to be said. I do think that line had to be said. But the problem that I have with it is just like, again, I'm getting fucking worked, because in the real world, he also could have lost if he would have done what he tried to do. And what happened was he won.
Yeah. And I think you're saying, like, he got the win. That's really what matters. Because,
right.
If you're doing coulda, woulda, shoulda, look at the reality for what it is.
Right, because, like, for all we know, maybe Gable felt like if he would have done the Caterpillar, it would have done less damage than the suplex, and then Nakamura would have been able to recover. He would have moved out of the way from the Vader bomb, and then he could have gotten the Kinshasa to win. So I think from a strategy perspective, we have to be like, oh, well, and this is, again, praising the booking here. We have to just look at like, okay, well, Gable gave him advice. He took the advice and it worked and he won. So, fuck the idea that he could have won faster. He also could have lost and he didn't. So great job.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I think you're capturing the spirit of why I actually am liking this undercard angle so far. Because again, I think we've seen angles in the past where it's like, no, I know best, just follow me, and it like never works out, and you're just waiting for the babyface to get it. Which at least, I will say this in the Angle's defense, and I'm still grateful they're not going that route. But even if they were to go that route, Otis is the kind of affable character that I think you can get away with to a point. The babyface not getting it right away. But I actually like, again, that he won here because it's like, oh, well, maybe Gable's onto something, which you know what that does? That gets Otis more committed to Gable's methods. So he's further ensnared in the whole Alpha Academy. It's not a pyramid scheme, but it has the air of a pyramid scheme, so to speak. It's like, oh, yeah, we've got all the answers
It's very Simon System-y.
Yeah, exact. Perfect. Okay, so after this, we get Sami Zayn preparing for the Sammy Awards.
Oh my god!
Sammy's checking with the stagehand. He's going through stuff, and he's like, "Do you polish these?" And the guy's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh my god, worthless! If you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself." And he said, "I'm gonna go get some polish. Don't screw anything up." And then this isn't a nitpick. This really isn't a nitpick. Big E comes into the frame with a laugh that, honestly, I thought I had 5 more years left on the Shane McMahon breathing sound as, like, the best sound I've ever heard. And then Big E starts this maniacal laughter, and I swear, it was like if you took you turning up, because I know how delirious you can get, you turn that up to, like, 12, and then you combine me turning up at 12, and then you fuse it in just, like, this amazing, sexy, hip-gyrating package. Yeah, like, I didn't have a problem with it. And again, that's why I want to stress it's not a nitpick, but I will say it was kind of, and maybe I'm kind of doing this for, like, sly hype for our year-end awards on the 31st. It was kind of a WTF moment. Not a WTF moment of the year, mind you. Again, that'll be on the 31st. But, like, if I was watching Smackdown for the first time and I was hearing people talk about Big E, and then that's what I saw of him, because then it immediately cuts to commentary saying, oh, I can't wait to see what Big E has planned. And I'm like, wait, that's Big E? I would have so many questions about this character. Does he always laugh like that? What is he planning when he does? Like, is it I don't know. So, yeah.
I
really kind of
I want that laugh on a fucking soundboard.
Oh, it'll happen, friend. So somebody somewhere is hearing that, and they're like, "Yeah, I got you, fam. I got you." It happened. That's really what I can say about it. It happened.
It certainly did. It certainly did.
We had Otis and Gable backstage, and you know what? To kind of continue this, because we didn't package it all together, and maybe we should have. Gable really is kind of a douche. Like, I actually, it's actually.
I'm waiting for you to say I actually kind of respect it.
I mean, I always do, because I have deeply rooted psychological issues, but thankfully this isn't about me. I will say, it's surprising. Because here's why I say it, though, on some real shit. Just kind of toning down a bit. I did get a little excited thinking about Big E because he killed it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But, on some real shit, dude, I think why I like it and why it's almost a relief to me, it's so easy to root for Gable, right? Because you and I do it all the time, and we still are. We're hoping that this works because he's the guy that's genuinely good at what he does with legitimate credentials being an Olympian. And
you're talking about Gable, right?
Yeah, I am talking about Gable.
Okay.
Yeah, and you want him to succeed, and you want him to be platformed, but he can also work you. Like, I'm really beginning to appreciate those workers, whether it's Roman Reigns, Gable, Carmella to a point, that, like, we're so deep in it, right? Like, I mean, again, we do the fucking podcast that we're doing right now, and yet we're still able to be taken out of it enough to get worked a little bit. And Gable definitely worked me a little bit because I'm like, oh my God, Otis, just see it. Like, he's not necessarily gaslighting you, but again, like you said, it's very Simon System-esque. It's like, why didn't you go for the caterpillar? You told me to suplex. No. See, don't do what I say. Just do what I mean. You get it? Anyway, hydrate. That's the second time he's pushed hydration, which, believe me, folks, I got blood work recently. I'm on the hydrate train, right? But, like, I don't know. Don't be using hydro homies to hide your quasi-gaslighty bullshit, okay? You can hydrate and answer for your bullshit at the same time, okay? I can't demonstrate it because I have a tiny bladder and we have a podcast to finish, but I'm pretty sure you can do it. So, cut the shit. After that, we get the Sammy Awards. And I do want to give you the reins on this, but I'll just say to start, I unironically like these better than the Slammies. How'd you feel about this?
This was hilarious. This was a lot of fun. Sammy is always entertaining, and I actually quite enjoyed Big E's interruption here as well.
Dude, it was great. Because Sammy goes through, 2020 has been so hard for everybody, and WWE is no different. But here's the 2020 year-end review. And it's just all clips of Sammy doing shit, like his return, winning definitively the Intercontinental title on Night of Champions, him outsmarting Apollo, him outsmarting Big E. And it just, oh my God, I love this man. I love it so much. He gives himself Return of the Year. He's like, Edge was fantastic. Roman was great. And if I'm honest, I would hope to be in that conversation. Like, this faux modesty was just perfect. And then, of course, he wins. And he's like, oh, my God, thank you. I definitely deserve this. Let's see if the role continues. Match of the year, Night of Champions. Oh, man, I really wanted this one. And then he's like, and finally, the one that everybody really wants, Superstar of the Year. And he reads it, and it's Big E. See, and again, I thought that was clever because we're waiting for the other shoe to drop because, again, we know from a few segments prior that Big E messed with the cards. And I thought they were all going to say Big E. And, like, maybe Sammy would get increasingly flustered, right? Like, he'd say, Return of the Year, Big E. Well, that makes no sense. And tosses it and then does that. And then he just, like, bursts when it comes to Superstar of the Year. But I like that they saved it for the end. And then Big E comes out, pushes Sammy aside. And he starts thanking, like, his coach and this and that. But the funniest part of this segment, and God bless Big E, man, was when Sammy tries taking the pulpit back. And he's like, there's been a mistake. And he actually shoves Big E to take the pulpit back. And Big E just looks at him, dude. Like, you've watched enough Fresh Prince, right? How much Fresh Prince Bel-Air did you watch?
I think I've seen probably around 60% of the episodes at least once.
That's enough. Because I'm sure you've seen those scenes on the show where, like, either Will or Carlton did something, like, so stupid or so asinine, and Uncle Phil just looks at them like, if you don't get on my goddamn site in 5 seconds, like, it's going to be a problem, right? Big E kind of had that energy with Sammy, because he's just watching Sammy talk, like, off to the side after being shoved. And I could just tell from the look, like, oh my God, Sammy, no, you pissed off the wrong dude. And I love Sammy for this too, because I don't think anything made me laugh harder than this, because just both parties played their parts perfectly. Because Big E is just boiling. He can do something about it because he's a freak athlete, and, like, look at the dude. And then see Javaris, no, see, I knew I wasn't out of pocket. Thank you, Javaris, I love you. I knew I wasn't out of pocket. He punches Sammy in the gut, and Sammy just acts like, it's almost like Robert Stone-esque. Oh my God! And he goes off and he's selling it. I think he's, like, about to die, because, like, Big E just devastated his fucking life with one right hook. Which is great, because here's the thing. We know Sammy as a character, again, trying to reel myself back in here, we know Sammy as a character is very conniving, and just, like, he'll always try and take the path of least resistance. Like, what's going to take the least amount of expenditure from me? So, obviously, he wants to avoid physicality. And that's why Big E is almost such a great foil, because he's physicality embodied. Again, he does the spirit of the rope, which you and I always kind of hitch our breath for. He used to have a 5 gimmick because he would beat people up so decisively he could win with a 5 count. So when you take the two mentalities, when you take the two temperaments of these characters, you really do have a perfect undercard feud. I don't always understand, like, how they're employing Big E on his side of it, but they hit it out of the park tonight, because he hit Sammy so hard and then he shoved him. And he shoved Sammy so far, like, he had to, like, look back, like, at Big E from a distance while he was celebrating, and then he threw the award down. My only thing, because I'm a mark, is that I would have, after he shattered the trophy, I would have had him hold up the Intercontinental title, because it was right there, just, like, away from Sammy. Would have had him hold it up, put it back gently, and be like, that's the award I want. And like, that little thing would have just sent me over the moon. Again, more for a pop than anything. But for taking the segment what it was, this was great. And the way Sammy sold that shot and Big E's intensity of like, the fuck did you just touch me? Like, nah, I ain't gonna fly. Amazing. I love it. I love both these guys. It was great.
Yeah, they both are.
See, Javaris, man, I am so glad you're here. Same fucking energy, bro. Because, yeah, I'm glad I wasn't the only one to feel that way. I really am. Because I was like, I hope I'm not being hyperbolic about this. This was great. So after that, we get a Bayley interview. More or less just responding to Bianca. You know, she says, it's nice to get some praise finally. And, you know, Bianca's got all the potential in the world. But, you know, like, I was on the track team in college. I was the captain of my high school basketball team. And yet you don't see me, you know, bragging about it and, you know, doing all that stuff. So, you know, she ultimately says, like, she is going to beat Bianca tonight because she is the role model. And ding dong, hello, like, that's just how it's going to go down. And, yeah, then we get Bianca versus Bayley. For a taste, because you know there's going to be more, I thought it was the perfect appetizer before hopefully they would do a pay-per-view match. Bianca's athleticism really shone through. I liked how the story they told was, you know, like, Bianca, like, in a fair match, it's not that Bayley can't necessarily beat Bianca, but it's going to be so much closer than what it was because Bayley had to cheat. Yeah. You know, she definitely seemed psyched out by Bianca's athleticism in parts. I did like when Bayley tried working over Bianca's arm because she knows Bianca's a power wrestler, and she's like, well, you know, if I take away the arm, maybe she won't be able to fully hook in the double chicken wing or even like the KOD. Bianca does try and rally back. I love the ending to this because I love how Bayley sets up her opponents for power bombs. They always look so snug, and the opposition always looks so well protected. But Bayley ends up raking the eyes and getting the rose plant, the arm trap headlock driver for the win. Do you have anything you want to say about this, man? Because I just thought it was like a really solid match, and I can't wait for the rematch. Is really how I come away with this.
And no, it was a really, really fun match. I thought the way that really what it comes down to is I think the finish was really well done and creative because they really did a good job of keeping Bianca feeling really legit. It still feels like she's undefeated, even though she isn't actually. Just because of the circumstances with the eye pokes and stuff. Bayley, though, kind of the way that she, low key, I mean, kind of similar to the way that she beat Naomi. I mean, you know, it's like she's cheating in a way that doesn't really get caught, and then she hits the rose plant and wins. Like with Naomi, it was the shirt over the foot, right?
Yeah.
And now with Bianca, it's the eye poke. Like that, to me, I think that's my favorite kind of heel. Is the kind of heel that cheats in a way that doesn't disrupt the flow of a match and gets away with it.
You know what I liked about this too, dude, just as a quick note before we move on to our main event segment? I am happy that Bayley won here because given that she was eliminated first at Survivor Series and given that recently, like, Natalya beat her so that Bianca could be like, well, I beat Natalya and you didn't. I feel like Bayley really needed this win. And again, I feel like long-term Bianca's going to come out smelling like, I would say roses, but given that Bayley beat her with a rose plant.
Well, do you know why she calls that the rose plant?
Why is that? Do
you know what her name was before WWE?
Oh, I know we've talked about this, but I forget and I don't want to eat up time. What was it?
Davina Rose.
Okay. Nice nod.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Bayley needed this win because now she's gotten some of her credibility back. So then when Bianca beats her in the rematch, she's going to get more mileage than if she would have just beaten Bayley here. Yep. So love it. Yeah, booking was in a way, if we're just looking at results and stuff, even if we didn't necessarily like all the content, booking was, I feel like, on point for most of this show tonight.
I think with Smackdown, there's still definitely some systemic issues, like overly scripted promos and, you know, giving certain people more talking time than they should have and certain people not enough and just little things like that. But for the most part, tonight's episode of Smackdown was very well booked.
Yeah, I completely agree. We get the Roman KO segment.
Oh my God, Mark! I didn't even realize that. Apparently, Bayley's middle name, like her shoot name, middle name is Rose. So we already know because of countless Sasha Banks call-outs that her full name is Pamela Martinez, but apparently it's Pamela Rose Martinez. So that's pretty cool.
Amazing. So yeah, the Roman KO segment.
Yeah.
Roman comes out and he just asked about like, Paul, I got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to throw one more little bit of praise Bianca Belair's way. The way
Of course.
the way that she sold the rose plant, and not just on the initial bump, but the way that she acted like she fucking sold it like death. Like she was not moving even after the match was over. Big props, because that's putting over your opponent's finish, and I love that.
Yeah, and again, it's investing in herself too. Because man, when I beat this woman, how great am I gonna look?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just God when wrestling's done right. So yeah, we get Roman and KO. We kind of touched on this, and you know, I've been working throughout the show on exactly what I wanted to say about this, but to build up to it, you know, Roman gets on a mic and he says, you know, Paul, I got a question. You know, how could Kevin Owens squander this opportunity, the biggest opportunity of his life? Because Roman's like, you know, he could have set his family up tonight if he just acknowledged me. And Kevin Owens' music hasn't come to her. He's like, you got to be kidding me. Heyman's even looking like, see, now, more than commentary is words, I feel like Paul Heyman, by saying less, has improved so much more because he's had to rely more on body language and body language, Paul Heyman. And I feel like
He's
I even
ace, and not just body language, but facial expression too. Facial expression, Paul.
Yeah, dude, facial expression, Paul Heyman. I think I would even say this when he was doing a lot of mic stuff, and even when he was doing a lot of mic stuff, and I was here for the mic stuff. In terms of like when I say here, I mean like loving it. Yeah. I always loved Paul Heyman's, you know, body language, which when I say body, I mean it is all encompassing, but yeah, especially the face to kind of emphasize that portion. And his face, and I think he even mouthed like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, again, we're dealing with this shit. And Owens, I gotta give him credit, man. See, God, I wish, and I feel like it is more of a problem with babyfaces or just some bad workers in general, and you know, the usual call-outs, I'm gonna do the gag, where it's like, oh, we're not gonna sell, or this and that, because you know, a hero should be invulnerable so that nobody has anything to be afraid of. No. I
mean, I feel like you didn't even have to shout out anyone that we know that it's Cena that you're talking about there.
Well, Cena, and then, you know, just again, when you're a bad worker in general, I think people knew who I was trying to shout out there, too, with the no selling. But yeah.
No, that was actually meant to be a joke, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. But no, like, I love that Owens just sold this. Like, he's limping. He's walking very gingerly here. And again, to kind of augment your point about like Roman's afraid of KO, even when KO is in this state, he always sends Jey Uso out first. Like, you go do it. It's almost like you know, God, we watched the first season of Jessica Jones like a little while back, and it's like, oh no, you test the food first to see if it's poison. So you gauge the threat, Jey. And then if the threat is below the threshold, then I'll come out and I'll do my thing.
Yeah.
Even when KO is in that state, it's like, no, you test the food first and see if it's poison, and then I'll dig in and I'll feast. And it's a great character beat. It's a great character beat. And Kevin, being an intelligent babyface, like, wow, I'm walking down a ramp in a portion of the arena just adorned with tables, ladders, and chairs as a promotional aesthetic for the pay-per-view this Sunday. Maybe I could take one of the decoratives and inflict some damage, and he does that with Jey. But I love that he doesn't really fully neutralize Jey because he's, again, so tunnel vision about getting to Roman.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I'm just going to fast forward through a lot of stuff because I do want to talk about how this ended because we know how it ends. KO tries to get his hands on Roman. Maybe he gets a little bit, goes for a stunner. Roman is still way too fresh, pushes KO away, and Jey gets a super kick. And then they just bury him. Thankfully, not figuratively, but literally under tables, ladders, and chairs. And they put him through 3 tables before that, by the way, just to kind of point that out. And yeah, they bury him underneath the rubble, and they go to the back, and they're about to get interviewed by Kayla, except on the Tron, we see that Kevin is moving the rubble out, actually has enough willpower to set a chair up, sit in it, and I don't know where the fuck he got the mic in between all this, but he had a mic in his hand, and he said, Roman, nothing you do is going to stop me from, you know, beating you this Sunday, all right, because I'm either going to become Universal Champion or I'm going to die trying. And then we get to this point, right? Because I said to Ashton before we went live, I don't know how I feel about this. And now, Ashton, you know what? Before I even go into my exposition, because I may talk a bit here, is there anything you want to say before I finally give my full thoughts on this?
I've given mine. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I was expecting, because I think it's babyface adversarial heel 101. Like, insurmountable. That was the word I was looking for. Insurmountable heel 101. You know, the heel kind of gets the better of everybody until the go-home show, and this has nothing to do about predictions or outcomes, besides we saved those for Saturday anyway, 10 p.m. It's just, again, narrative beats. KO didn't get the upper hand at any point leading up to pay-per-view, because beating Jey Uso doesn't count. Roman's the big boss. Roman's the one with the title. And Roman just got the better of him every turn. But he couldn't fully annihilate Kevin Owens. In fact, I'd say the worst beatdown he gave was probably, like, I want to say 2 weeks ago, where he surprised Jey Uso and he beat the shit out of him too. Poor Jey was like, what did I do? But Kevin each week kept coming back for more. And then I realized, you know what? Like, and I think this goes too, and we already kind of addressed this last week, but well, really you addressed it. I kind of kept quiet about it because I don't like waiting in this discourse anyway, but I think it actually serves my purposes here. There were people, again, mainly just Alex, and I know Javaris in our chat, that were like, oh, we hope Kevin Steen comes out. In a way, I think I finally decided this is more horrifying than Kevin Steen. And this is a better payoff than if Roman would have just gotten one stunner on Roman, and he's kind of like walking up with Paul Heyman, looking at Kevin. Maybe Kevin would even pose at the Universal Title. It's better than that, because here's the question I'm left with for TLC. Barring Ashton's point, which I feel like is 100% valid, that Roman fears KO, which I would latch on to that point. My point being, it leaves me as a viewer with one question. What the hell is the finish of that TLC match going to be? Because if Roman couldn't keep Kevin down after all of this, I'm visualizing a finish where he pushes Kevin off a 20-foot ladder to the outside through 4 tables. And even then, I expect Kevin to be halfway up the ladder looking at Roman taking the title down for the win. What this finish does is it makes me get in the mind of Roman Reigns and say, oh my God, this isn't Jey Uso. This isn't my family that I had the psychological advantage on. This is a man that doesn't give a fuck. If anything, I took away my psychological advantage by having his family come out of my mouth, because now he wants to win the title. But I think more than that, on a visceral level, he doesn't want to go home to his family empty-handed, because it's not the idea I didn't bring the title home. It's I didn't put respect back on our name.
Dude,
and that's horrifying.
If Roman Reigns is going to win this match, I think there are 2 ways that he can do it. Both of them involve Jey Uso. One is he can do some kind of handcuffing trick with Jey. Maybe he handcuffs Owens to Jey, and that's just, even if Jey can't hold Owens back and Owens beats the shit out of him, he's still dead weight and prevents Owens from getting in the ring to stop Roman from climbing the ladder. Or he could beat the shit out of Owens and send Jey up to get the briefcase or to get the title and just bring it down to him, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that if Roman is going to win this match, he will not be able to do it himself. He's going to need all the help in the world from Jey Uso to do it.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like that's clearly to me what's being telegraphed here. And I will say too, dude, and again, this is getting purely into fantasy booking territory, and I want to get ahead of that right now. But you know what's so good about how they're positioning Kevin Owens is because I'm hearing rumors like, is it going to be Goldberg? They want Rock, but with the pandemic and his filming, they don't know. If you really wanted to, you could return to this for Mania, and I would believe it 100%. Because Kevin is so determined to get his pound of flesh on Roman. You could have Roman retain here. I even like the visual that I came up with, where Kevin's like halfway up the ladder, but Roman's already pulled the title down. Royal Rumble, maybe you have him even come in the final 3, maybe even final 2 if you wanted to be that heartbreaking. Then maybe you have him win the Chamber, and maybe he even starts the Chamber match. But you put the man through the fucking ringer, and then to return to this match after everything Kevin Owens has been through. And by the way, if you really wanted to milk that Rumble sympathy, have him come out at number 1 or 2. Run the gauntlet there too. Have him be like an Iron Man, and then he gets that rematch with Roman. I would be so fucking invested. Because again, there's something to me more horrifying about that than a Kevin Steen. And I've seen the Kevin Steen stuff. I've seen the video package with El Generico. We watched the War Without Honor matchup because that was a DBK Patreon request.
Yeah.
This is more terrifying to me because it's not some guy talking about how he's an antichrist. It's not some guy that, oh my God, look at me, I have no conscience. No, this is pure desperation. And there is something so fascinating about that, because if you want to really get meta about it, Roman Reigns, or excuse me, I keep saying Roman Reigns. I apologize for that. Kevin Owens lost the Universal Championship to Goldberg at Fastlane. He never got a rematch for that title. How long, Ash? Well, I mean, I guess you could say, like, last year at Fastlane, he got to face Daniel Bryan for the WWE title. But even then, like, Kevin was planned for WrestleMania. Kofi Mania just devoured him. So looking at Kevin Owens, the man, when was the last time he was really positioned like this? So even if you want to do the meta-narrative, it took him so long to get back here.
Yeah.
And I think him, more than any of us, have an intimate understanding of, oh my sweet mother of God, if I don't pull this off this Sunday, how many more years is it going to take just to get back here? So whether you want to look at it from the kayfabe narrative of, oh no, this motherfucker, like, my family came out of his mouth, or you want to look at it at the meta-narrative of, I love wrestling, because I've always said that I almost feel like on a certain level, Sammy may be a better worker than KO, but KO loves wrestling more than Sammy. That's always the vibe that I've gotten. I love this business. I love what I fucking do. But, like, I want to be the man. I am one of those people that believes in the mindset, if you're not here to be world champion, then why are you here? And if I don't, like, get this done, when am I going to get another shot? Because to your point, Ashton, to circle back to your point again, which I feel like was an excellent point you made, you think Roman Reigns wants to get back in the ring with Kevin Owens on a regular basis? He wants this to be one and done. Like, he wants this to be, I took the title down, go to the back of the line, who's the next one?
Yeah, and I was even thinking, too, if Roman's going to win, and if he's going to do it with the help of Jey Uso, I almost have to wonder if we're going to get some kind of special stip match that takes Jey out of the picture at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, because that is the one thing I'm struggling on, is, like, part of me really believes that this isn't going to be a one-off feud. I think it's gotten way too personal that it could go to pay-per-views, TLC, and then, Rumble. And I do agree with you that, I feel like Jey, to just kind of spice it up, maybe they'll even do, because, dude, Kevin Owens has said non-kayfabe, like, his favorite matchup, because when was Kevin Universal Champion? Was that 2017? Or was that 2018? Or no, it was 2016, actually. Wow. It was 2016. But 2017 Royal Rumble is one of Kevin Owens' favorite matches of his career, and that was him versus Roman Reigns in, I think, a no-holds-barred match with Chris Jericho in a shark cage. Imagine, because it's Kevin Owens' favorite match, what if they just, it's ridiculous, but what if they put Jey Uso in a fucking shark cage? Just as a kind of nod to their last Royal Rumble match that Kevin Owens loved so much. And they do that. I mean, that could be a possibility. But I do agree with you ultimately that Jey Uso should be neutralized, just kind of raise the stakes a bit. But yeah, man, I love this. I love this Kevin Owens. And it's not try hard. And see, that's another reason I didn't even want WWE to think about their own version of Steam, because dude, that it would have come off as try hard. At least I feel like it would have. This feels so much more natural to me that he was like, organic. Yeah, that's the word, organic. That, like, man, this guy keeps getting the better of me. He keeps using his family. He keeps disrespecting my family. I just want to get my hands on him. And man, Kevin, he's like punched Roman a few times, but when I say like get his hands on Roman, I mean really get his hands on Roman, since he hasn't done that at all in the build-up. That's got me salivating for their match at TLC. They built this so fucking well. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about this extendedly, because I know I kind of withheld my thoughts. I'm in love with this. I'm in love with this Kevin Owens. I think I didn't know what to say at first, because I'm not used to this. I am used to the formula of, okay, the heels had their fun, but let's show everybody that the babyface can beat Roman. I don't even know if it necessarily telegraphed that Kevin can beat Roman, except on one condition. If he can outlast Roman, if he could take Roman's best, and Roman is just, like, exasperated, and he's like, oh, fuck this, Kevin's got his opening. And I really feel like it's how they used to joke about a Tyson fight. If you can take Tyson's best shot, you win. But his best shot fucking hurts. So it really is going to be a war of attrition at TLC, and I can't fucking wait for it. So expert ending to this episode. These two guys, again, Performance Center, watch these two guys. If you want a main event, if you want that spot, these two guys show you how to do it. So with that said, next segment, high spots, low shots. I'm just going to say my low shot tonight is Sami Zayn. His award show got crashed tonight, and one of his awards got destroyed, and Big E got the better of him, again. And given that Sami has beaten Big E, but he only beat him, like, by a countout, and hasn't really beaten him in, like, that decisive, I'm definitely better than you, going the back of the line way, we know that Big E isn't done with Sami, which means his Intercontinental title is still in peril. So Sami, for as much as I adore him, He might not have been able to cherish his Sammys, but hopefully he'll be able to comfortably enjoy this low shot. So who's your low shot?
Unfortunately, I have to go with Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm a huge fan of Nakamura, and like when Otis beat him tonight, I was actually more annoyed than happy. I was happy that the whole Gable method worked and everything that Gable's doing was helping Otis and that kind of thing, but I was upset that Nakamura lost. I just feel like Nakamura should be above all this, and he isn't, and it's sad. So he gets my low shot.
That's understandable. All right, man. As far as high spot, I could go the easy route, but I don't want to take any shine because I know you said you had an idea for your high spot, and I really like that, so I don't want to take that from you.
You just want me to go first and give you time to think?
Yeah, you can go first.
My high spot is the Universal Championship, and that is because of the amazing build that has been getting done towards the title match and how much prestige has been built on that title for this feud with Roman's reign, you could say, and Owens being this just fucking ruthless, not even ruthless, just this unrelenting chaser. I absolutely love this feud, and it is making the Universal title feel like the number one title in all of wrestling. So big props to what they've been doing with the Universal title. And really, in essence, it's kind of a dual high spot to Roman and Kevin both.
Yeah, and they absolutely deserve it. You know what, man? I'm just going to cede to you that you win high spots, low shots this week. I'm just going to go with the Street Profits. They were the only team to have a championship on the line tonight, and they did successfully defend. And they got their opposition so fucking heated, they almost got suspended tonight. So when you're living that deep in their heads, despite their calm demeanor of no, we're the aces.
Yeah. Maybe you guys should think about sucking less.
Yeah, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and I certainly can't believe I'm saying this in a space where it's recorded for posterity, but calling yourself the aces, what a fucking insult to Tanahashi. No one should be allowed to insult Tanahashi but me. All right? That's fucking gross. So
not even Kenta?
Yeah, Kenta too, because he's adorable. But with that said, guys, this has been Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinate commentary action. Guys, be sure to like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top result for Smackdown reviews on YouTube. I want to do the best at what you do. The top is the only place that you belong, so please leave that like. Be sure to comment down below when this video is done processing. What have you thought about the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns build? Would you have wanted Kevin to get more out of this feud in terms of physically getting the upper hand on Roman, or do you agree with us that the way they've done this has been far more creative and actually shows more Roman's fear of Kevin, per Ashton's point? How do you feel about the Bianca Bayley feud? And here's a fun question, because I always like to think of at least one open-ended question. Since we know Lacey Evans is on Raw after we kind of cleared that up, who do you guys think Billie Kay's Goldilocks partner is going to be? So I want you guys to put your guesses down below in the comment section. Talk to us. Be sure to check out everything we're involved in the description box. Ashton's, and I was going to say, particularly our Twitter handles. Ashton's pinned tweet on Twitter is the TWitWoW schedule for the month of December. We're over halfway through the month, but if you want to know what we've got remaining, commentary-wise and everything like that, you can go to Ashton's pinned tweet. My pinned tweet is for gathering Q&A questions. And now that Ashton's kind of smarting me up to how Patreon works, I will say this. If you guys want to participate in Q&A, you can donate to the Patreon $1. That'll get you 5 Q&A questions, and you could do that right now. You can donate right now and get your 5 questions right now. No processing next month kind of thing. Or if you're like, yeah, I know it's just $1, but times are tough, and I totally get that. Can I still participate in Q&A? Sure you can. You should just know that non-Patreon owners only get 3 Q&A questions. It is a Patreon perk to get 2 additional questions. All the same, Q&A will be December 31st. We do Q&A last Thursday of every month. That's when it falls on. The one thing I should really stress, Q&A is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time this month. That is because, again, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we are doing our TWitWoW year-end awards. This is going to be, you want to talk about workhorses of the YWC. We're leaving the stable, and we're getting a big look at the wide-open plane, Daddy. Because Q&A can sometimes go long, and, yeah, I know, I'm hilarious. And year-end awards...
I was making horse noises.
Oh. Well, thank you, Bojack. And we know that year-end awards usually do go the distance.
I didn't want to do the full neigh. I thought that would be just a little too much, so I just made the little noises.
That's you do your art, friend. And we know your end awards do go a bit long. We might even be live with you guys on the ball drops. Can't wait for 2021 to turn heel. But the last little bit of 2020.
Bro, did you see the fucking ad that they put out tonight, the WWE, of Drew McIntyre fucking Claymore kicking the year 2020 and then 2021 coming out like a superhero?
Bro, see it. You liked my quote tweeting it when it was on social media originally and be like, oh, I can't wait for 2021 to turn heel because climate change, capitalism, and all that stuff are structural problems that aren't going to be engaged with because we went from fascism back to neoliberalism.
I know. Oh my God. People really think it's going to change with the number in the year. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it's just what they do to keep themselves afloat. I've given up on it entirely, honestly. But you can get a little bit of optimism, I think, anyway, with us in 2020, because the way we do our year-end awards, worst comes first, and you save the best for last, Daddy. So join us December 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for that. Just to round out the week, you guys, tomorrow we've got a doubleheader, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are covering Stardom. Big card here. We've got an Artist of Stardom title matchup, Cosmic Angels versus Oedo Tai. Represented by Natsuko, Saki, and B. Priestley. And then our huge, I think what they even call the Incredible Bout tag match. It's, is it Utami and Shuri versus Momo and Julia?
No, it's Utami and Julia versus Momo and Shuri. It's champions versus challengers.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Guys, that tag match, I mean, Strange Bedfellows. I haven't seen a Strange Bedfellows match of that quality in a minute, so that's going to be really wild. So you want to join us for that? Again, that's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then to preview TLC, we're going to be going live with that one more time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and then live reaction to TLC Sunday at 7. Cannot wait for the show. Can't wait for the 2 TLC matches, and even the Inferno matchup should be interesting. Again, we'll talk about hype.
Definitely going to be a cinematic match.
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about hype, build, all that stuff at 10 p.m. tomorrow. So until then, guys, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, stay safe out there, keep doing you, keep doing the best you can. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 for Stardom. And again, if you're not into Stardom, I don't know why. I heartily recommend subscribing to Stardom World. But if you're just here for that WWE shit, we got your hookup at 10 p.m. Eastern Time previewing TLC. So until then, guys, tune in and peace out.